Hey all, we're working on the challenge in the copy a list in manipulating lists. This says write a function called return a list copy that takes a list as an argument and simply returns a copy of that list. So my function will be as it says, return a list copy, and it does take a list as a parameter. I like to use LST for list when I only have one of them. And then I'm gonna go ahead and use a variable assignment, and I'll call this list copy, and I will simply assign list to it, and then return that list copy. I do put a space here. I like to break up my code in terms of logical chunks, and I always think of the return statement as sort of its own logical chunk. If it's not nested inside of an if or an else statement, something along those lines. But I can go ahead and do the test here, and I can see this is correct. Other people might they might put the square brackets to index in here and say that I want to start at the beginning and end at the end. We can see that this will still work, and that's fine, right? But I think maybe the most elegant way to accomplish this is to use the dot copy function, right? And that just makes a carbon copy of the list and then assigns that to a new variable, and then returns that new variable. Double check this one works as well. It does. The reason that we're doing this is that typically in Python, your best practice is not to mutate any parameters that are passed in to your function. So if this said take in a list and add something to that list as a second parameter, right? I would make a list copy and then append to that, append my parameter. I'm sorry, I put a string here, but it would be a variable. That might be a string, might not be a string, right? But I would append that not to my original list, rather, but append that to the copy of my list that I've made, and then return that copy of the list instead of just going in and mutating the parameter itself. But that's our best practice. Now you understand a little bit why, and as well as how we can accomplish this in a few different ways.